Playing baby. But Mom, Sarah exclaimed as her mother slid the diaper under her rear. No but, her mother proclaimed as she take the diaper in place. You were the one who wanted to be a baby. Sarah just lay there. Her mother was right. She had been playing baby. Truth be told, Sarah did not know why she had been playing. It all seemed so stupid. Both Sarah and her mother looked at each other. The story began to unfold. Sandy, Sarah's mother, remembered the day well. She had been collecting clothes to run in the washing machine and decided to grab some of her 13-year-old daughters from her room. She had not even bothered to knock, she just opened the door. What she had seen made her drop the laundry basket she was carrying. There was her daughter standing in front of her wearing a pillowcase like a diaper. To make matters worse, in her daughter's mouth was a pacifier. Sarah had jumped at the sight of her mother, spit the pacifier out and reached for her robe to cover herself. "Mother, don't you knock!" Sarah screamed. Sandy just stood there looking at her daughter. "Just what do you think you're doing?" She finally managed to get out. "None of your business," came the reply. Sandy found her voice. "It is to my business. My daughter is sucking a pacifier and wearing what might as well be a diaper, and I want to know why." Sarah looked into her mother's eyes. How badly she wanted to explain. She wanted to tell her mother how she missed being a baby. How much she wanted to be one again. But she couldn't. Her mother would never understand. All Sarah could think to say was, "I don't know." Sandy looked at her and, shaking her head, grabbed the laundry basket off the floor and left the room. Sarah collapsed onto her bed and began to cry. Her worst fear had come true. Her mother had seen her and now there was something between them. Meanwhile, downstairs, Sandy was crying for a different reason. What had she done wrong? Sarah had always been a good kid, got good grades in school. She had never been in real trouble. Sandy sat in her favorite chair and tried to grasp what she had just discovered. What had she done wrong? She needed to talk to Sarah, but that was not going to be easy. Silent tears fell down Sandy's cheeks. The clock ticked the minutes slowly. Time, it seemed, had come almost to a standstill. After a few minutes, Sandy heard the shuffle of feet coming down the stairs. Mother and daughter looked at each other. Both remained silent. Each lost in their own thoughts. Sarah found herself wanting to explain. Sandy looked her daughter over and was glad to see she had taken off the pillowcase. After a moment or two, both of them felt it was time to chat. "Mom, I think we should talk," Sarah began. "Just tell me why," Sandy responded. Sarah took a deep breath. "It's hard to explain," she began. "Take your time," her mother told her. After taking a couple of deep breaths, Sarah began to explain. She told her mother about her wish to be a baby again and how she did not know why. That she had felt this way for several months. She had looked up on the internet for information and discovered that she was a teen baby. Sarah was near tears when she finished. Sandy had listened to everything her daughter had said. When Sarah finished talking, Sandy took a deep breath herself and simply said, "Thank you." Sarah looked at her mother. A few quiet minutes passed between them. Sandy finally broke the silence. "I need to think about this." "Okay," Sarah responded. "I'm going to bed." And with that, Sarah shuffled off to bed. Sandy sat in silence and stared out the window. She needed to talk to someone. After a few minutes, she thought of her friend Violet. Violet was a trained child therapist. If anyone could help her put all this together. Sandy picked up the phone and made an appointment to see her tomorrow. After making the appointment, Sandy headed off to try and sleep. Chapter 2. You don't look good, Violet remarked as she opened the door and looked at her friend. I don't feel well, Sandy responded. So what's going on? Violet asked. Slowly Sandy began to bring Violet up to speed. She told her everything, from walking in on her daughter to the conversation afterwards. She even was able to talk about her feelings on the matter. Violet listened carefully to her friend's story. When Sandy finished, Violet spoke quietly. First and foremost, you did nothing wrong. Teen babies, or infantilists, are more common than you think. Nobody knows what causes someone to be this way. It just is. But what do I do now? Sandy asked. That depends on what you want. Violet answered. I just want it to go away. Sandy responded. Well, it won't just go away. But you can make it go away if you want. Violet said. How? Was the only words that Sandy could get out. Simple, Violet responded. Give her what she wants, but on your terms. What do you mean? Sandy inquired. Teen babies want to be a baby for real. Violet said. What I would do is make her a baby for the summer. The whole thing. By the end of summer she will be so sick of it that she will be begging to be a big girl for the rest of her life. I'm not sure I can do that. Sandy replayed. Sure you can. It's no different than taking care of a real baby. Everything is just bigger. I would add one thing to it. Violet said matter of fact. I would require her to come here and see me once a week. Why? Sandy asked. I can monitor her mental health and give her a place to complain about being treated like a baby after the newness wears off. Sandy thought long and hard about what Violet had been saying. It could work. She was not sure that she was looking forward to spending the summer changing diapers, but the reset of it sounded like the perfect way to deal with it. After all, if she had been caught smoking, Sandy would have made her finish a whole pack. Just one thing bothered her. What if this doesn't work? Sandy asked her friend. First off, it will work. Second off, with the therapy that she will be getting from me, she will want to give up being a baby for sure. Violet answered. After a moment of contemplation, Sandy stood up and announced. I'll do it. Good. Have her in my office next Friday. We will start therapy then. Violet said as she shook her friend's hand. And good luck. Thank you, Sandy said as she walked out of the room. She had some shopping to do before Sarah got home from school today. Sandy left her friend's office and headed straight to the store. There she picked up everything she thought she might need for the summer. She picked up a couple of bottles and a couple of pacifiers. She picked up 3 big cans of formula and of course she picked up a couple of bags of diapers. Soon she was arriving home. She was somewhat surprised to see her daughter home already. Sarah was laying out on the front lawn sunbathing. Sandy put her purchases away and then went to her daughter. Hi Mom, Sarah said as Sandy came into view. What's up? Nothing much. You're home early. Sandy responded. Half day. Sarah said. Well, I need to talk to you. Sandy said matter of fact. Sarah sat up and looked at her mother. So talk, I have been thinking about what you said last night. Oh, that, Sarah said, remembering the night before. She had hoped her mother would have forgotten about it. Sarah. Sandy started. I have been thinking, and if being a baby is what you want, then being a baby you should have. Sarah looked at her mother with a surprised look on her face. What do you mean? If you want to be a baby, then I am willing to let you be one. For the summer. Sandy told her daughter. I see. Sarah said with a hint of uncertainty in her voice. Now there are 2 conditions that I must insist on. Sandy said. First and foremost, if that's what you want, it must last all summer. There is no changing your mind after a week or 2. Sarah just looked at her mother. Could this really be happening? It would be a dream come true. Sarah simply nodded her head. And second, you must have weekly therapy sessions with Violet. Sandy continued. Why? Sarah asked. It's one of my conditions, was all Sandy said. So the question to you is, do you want to be a baby or not? Sarah stared at her mother for a moment. She was still trying to figure out if her mother was kidding or not. After a minute of silence, Sarah spoke from her heart. More than anything. Then come with me, Sandy said. Both of them got up and walked into the house. They walked upstairs and into Sarah's room. Sarah was shocked to see the bags of diapers on her bed. Lay down, Sandy commanded. Sarah sat down on her bed. Sandy grabbed a diaper out one of the bags of diapers and quickly put her daughter back into diapers. Sarah lay on her bed in bliss. She was finally getting what her heart had always wanted. The only thing that bothered her was the thought of talking with Violet about this. Sandy looked at her daughter and smiled. This was going to be fun on some levels. After finishing getting Sarah back in diapers, Sandy put a pacifier in her mouth and left the room. Sarah sucked the pacifier and smiled. She was a baby at last. Chapter 3. Sarah lay on her bed feeling things she had felt deep down come bubbling to the surface. The first thing she felt was the sensation of being diapered. She was in real diapers for the first time since she was potty trained at the age of 2. The diapers felt wonderful. She felt like her body was encased in love. She moved around just to hear them crinkle. Sucking on the pacifier was the second thing she felt. Her mother had given it to her right after putting her in diapers. Slowly she moved it in her tongue. True, she had sucked pacifiers before, but this one felt different. LT was special cause her mother gave it to her. Sarah smiled her biggest smile. A few tears of joy fell down her face. She grabbed her stuffed bear off her bed and gave it a big hug. The main thing she felt was happy. She was a baby again. Sarah slowly let the full reality seep in. School was out for the summer and Sarah had no plans. Now she was a baby again and looking forward to every part of the next 3 months. Downstairs in the kitchen, Sandy was busy working. Dinner had to be made and she had work to do. First she made a bottle of formula. Then she realized what she forgot to buy at the market: no baby food. Grabbing the bottle of formula, Sandy headed back upstairs to feed the baby. Sandy got up to her daughter's room and stood in the doorway for a moment. What she saw melted her heart. There on her bed was Sarah, clutching her teddy bear and smiling. Sandy knew that she was doing the right thing. She let out a quick sigh and entered the room. Sarah opened her eyes and looked at her mother. Sandy sat on the bed and before Sarah could say a word, removed the pacifier and replaced it with the bottle. Whatever Sarah was gonna say did not leave her lips. Instead, she sucked on the bottle and closed her eyes. The sucking of the bottle and the beating of her heart caused Sarah to get very tired. Soon she drifted off to sleep. The last thing she remembered was her mother checking her diaper. Sarah did not care at that moment cause she was fast asleep.